Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. Today's video is going to be a continuation of the video I made yesterday with an updated version 2.0 build of the Sileighty, which is currently the meta car for Daily Race C. So this build here is a bit of a hybrid build between my own build yesterday and MistahMCA's build that he also put up yesterday, so I'll link him down below. This build is much more unstable, however it has allowed me to go around about 2 seconds faster than the previous build, so there is performance there. So let's get into it. You're going to need the wide body modification. As you can see, mine's checked off. I do need to oil change this car as well, which I'll get round to doing. So there we have it. In terms of your wheels, you want to run aftermarket wheels. Any of them can do. And then in terms of their size, you want them at least a couple of sizes up, or anything other than default, with wide rim width and wide offset. In terms of your body parts, or aero parts should I say, you want the front at type A or standard. I usually just run type A because it's more customizable. The side at type A and the rear again at type A. In terms of the rear wing, I've changed this from the custom to the type B, and again it's pretty decent in terms of your customizability. I've got roll cage type B also installed on this build. So let's get into the actual tuning sheet. So as you can see here, we're still running the Sport Soft and pretty much an identical suspension setup to what we were running yesterday. So as you can see, we're running these soft tyres. We're going to run this on both. We're going to run the fully customizable suspension with a body height at 87 at the front and 160 at the rear. Anti-roll bar is going to be 8 for both. Damping ratio compression is going to be 37 for both, with the expansion being 47 for both. In terms of the natural frequency, we're going to run 2.30 for both, and then the negative camber angle, this has changed a bit. It's going to be 2.0 at the front and 3.0 at the rear. Toe angle is going to be 0.10. Now I'm going to point this one outwards, and then we're going to point the rear inwards. I've added a lot more toe at the back, although it was quite high, I've just added a bit more. Fully customizable differential, and the initial torque is going to be 5, acceleration sensitivity is 12, and braking sensitivity again is 5. Fully customizable racing transmission this time around. I've managed to kind of glitch around the PP and basically be able to run this whilst kind of keeping the PP at a minimum. 310 for the gears, and then again we've got MistahMCA's gear ratios here. I found these are pretty much a sweet spot. This is where my first original build was really lacking, was just the fact that in a straight line I didn't have the pace, although around the corners, you know, we were pretty much golden. Obviously the build's a lot less stable this time. We're running a lot less downforce overall, but we are running them at the highest parameters that I can currently get them at. I'm still continuing to play around with that, so who knows what other kind of broken PP value we can come around with. So there are the individual gears and the final drive. Feel free to pause on that bit if you want to just copy them down. In terms of ballast, I'm running 41 ballast on this. It seemed to be a sweet spot with a positioning of -38. This kind of helped me, you know, break the rest of the build, especially in terms of the aero. Fully customizable ECU, and we're going to limit that to 99. Downforce at the front, this is a bit glitched, and I'll show you just after we've gone through the tuning sheet exactly how to do this. So I've got 66 and 121. I've got the low RPM turbocharger with the anti-lag system. This again it kind of takes away from the PP performance, but then you still get the same performance as the high RPM. There's just no real difference. All of these parts listed here are pretty much racing, so we can have maximum parts. We also have the brake controller there at the bottom, which I usually set towards the rear at 2. This for me is just a bit of a sweet spot, and I'm finding that it allows the car to be a little bit better on the brakes. Clutch and flywheel is also installed as racing, and then we have the perma mods this time: the bore up, stroke up, engine balance tuning, polish ports, and then all of the weight reductions, as well as the increased body rigidity at the bottom. So I did mention about the glitch with the aero, so I'm going to show you here in a new tuning sheet. I'm just going to go ahead and pretty much just duplicate this one, and then I'm going to kind of show you how it works. So essentially what you want to do is take the aero all the way down to the bottom. Around this point you should essentially have a big drop. Here we go, look, see, 400 odd. So what you want to do is kind of move it up one by one until you kind of get over the PP limit. So the limit is 600 for this event. Once you kind of go over, you want to take it back to the last kind of 500 value and then swap over to the front. So you're essentially swapping between the front and rear, and it should work its way up. Now I have hit the higher parameters, I just feel like when I kind of get to a certain spot, I just cannot go any further. This does allow you to run a pretty decent amount of downforce at both the front and rear. Originally I was running max downforce at the rear with none at the front. This time around we're running less downforce at the rear, but we're able to kind of balance it out with downforce at the front. Whilst it is a bit a bit less unstable, it is definitely better than pretty much running zero downforce. It just kind of has to be a bit of a workaround. So it may take you a good 5 to 10 minutes to get to the maximum, but eventually you will get there when you notice that pretty much every time you click it over, it just goes straight over 600. At that point, you've reached your maximum and you need to really keep it where it is. If you do hit that maximum though, feel free to kind of move the ballast positioning. This does seem to affect it, and it may drop it back down again if you continue to go back and forth. If not, you've hit the maximum and you can't really go anymore. So like I said, this build is pretty much a hybrid build of myself's and MistahMCA's, where yesterday I did say I was struggling to pretty much get the straight line speed because of how my upgrades were in terms of the engine. I did basically put a new engine in it and away we went. I managed to get a lot more straight line speed thanks to him, so I really do thank him for that. In terms of kind of the stability and such, I've kind of geared it more towards my own personal preference. A lot of the faster builds are really on edge, where this one kind of makes it not too bad. You know, it is still, you know, not half as stable as the one previously, but that's kind of a sacrifice you need to make if you want to, you know, keep that straight line speed there, where I was mainly lacking. As well as yesterday, kind of playing around with the high RPM, the medium RPM and such, I just couldn't find a sweet spot for straight line. Then I thought, you know what, we'll try the low RPM. And what I did notice that there wasn't really much in terms of performance gain. So, you know, I wasn't losing anything by running the low RPM turbocharger, and then kind of playing around with that and playing around with the aero. Eventually, I kind of got it to a sweet spot that suited myself. And that's really what it's all about. It's just finding the sweet spot that suits you. Not everything may suit you. In terms of this build, it is a lot less stable. It will kick out. You have to be very careful with your throttle control. But once you kind of get a feeling for it, in all honesty, you should be doing pretty well. So my fastest lap time with this build is around a 2 minutes 10. So we've finally got ourselves in the 2 minute 10 range, whereas the one yesterday was a 2 minute 12. And again, I think that was just mainly because of the lack of straight line speed. So do I think we've finally found the overall, you know, best build? I'm not quite sure. There's a lot of parameters that really do glitch out with this, and I'm constantly testing this build in between races and qualifying and such. And there's a lot of parameters where it'll kind of just drop down to like 400, but sadly you'll change something and it'll just boost itself back up to, you know, well over 600. So I'm still trying to find the sweet spot. There may be more to come from this build, but I feel like it's a decent enough build where I can kind of then go and focus on maybe something like the 180SX or some of the Aero K cars. So overall, do I think we're at the maximum potential for the Sileighty? I don't know. I mean, it changes all the time. There could be a completely different glitched way to build it, but in all honesty, I feel like this is a good enough tune for now anyway. At the time of making this, I believe I'm in the 2 minute 10.7s and currently ranked around about 30th in the world, and that's on controller. I do reckon once I get on the wheel, there's a good few tenths to shave off there. So if there is any of the other cars for this event for Daily Race C which you want me to look into and build, just let me know down below and I'll try and get to it as soon as possible. Thank you so much for your support recently. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn those notifications on so you don't miss an upload from myself. I upload GT7 and motorsport content each and every day. Thank you to my sponsors, the Controller People and Poggers. My Twitter, Discord and all that lot will be down in the description down below. So I'll see you later. Have a great day. Stay safe. Peace.